Welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be making some 3D orchid flower nails using some non-stick 3D carving gel as well as this silicone tool and a cuticle pusher. I'm also using some rubbing alcohol just as like a slip layer to put on my gloves so that the gel doesn't stick to it. But the base for all of my flowers is essentially just using a tool to kind of scrape out some of the 3D gel and then rolling it in between my fingers to form a small ball, and each ball is a petal for the flower essentially. I'm putting some cuticle oil on my gloves so that the gel doesn't stick to it. I really don't advise doing that. I would say just use rubbing alcohol would be a little bit better. Just put some on your gloves and that'll just kind of help it from not sticking, and just periodically just dip your fingers into the rubbing alcohol, and overall it works pretty good. With the cuticle oil that I put on the gloves, it kind of made it where I had to like wipe the balls off with some alcohol before I put it on the nail, or else it wouldn't stick. So yeah, but like I said, each little ball is a petal for the flower. So I'm starting off with this white gel, and for my first flower I'm going to put up an inspo photo. It's just like that classic white orchid. So I'm going to go in and just form my balls, and then I'm just going to place them on the nail just kind of in the center. So one going like north, south, east, and west essentially, and then just like kind of meeting in the middle. So I'm going to just place all of the balls and then use the silicone tool to start shaping the petals into the shape that I would want it. So I start off with the pointy end, and sorry I got a little bit out of frame, but I just essentially use that to just press down right in the center of the ball until I have the petal the length that I wanted, and then I flip the tool around and use the more square part of it to kind of shape it into like the width that I wanted. And then I also just kind of push each little corner in between each petal so that it's like nice and centered. But I'm just going to go in and do that until I have it how I want it, and then I cured that in the lamp. While that was curing, I went ahead and formed 2 more balls, and I'm going to use that as like my second layer. So that base is already cured, and then I'm just putting these 2 kind of in between the center petal and then each petal on either side, and just doing the same thing, just kind of pressing it down and just shaping it into the type of petal that I want. In the center, I'm just kind of pushing it down a little bit just so it's like nice and centered, and just kind of raising it up on the sides. I want it to be like super 3D. I did these kind of thick. That's another thing. It's kind of hard to say like what size ball you need for your flowers, but just kind of play around with it and you'll figure out what size works best for like your nail length and stuff. But yeah, I'm just going to keep shaping that up until I have it how I want it, and then I'll cure that in the lamp, and at that point I can go back in and kind of design my flower using some gel polish. So I went ahead and laid out my gel polish colors, and now I'm just going to go in and paint the very center of the flower, which is like the most raised portion of it. And I'm just using this yellow color that I mixed, and then I'm just kind of pulling that out towards the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with like the fuchsia color and just kind of outline each petal. And then I'm also going to go in and put like some little lines and dots inside of each petal. So this is how that nail turned out, super cute. And now I'm going to go on to nail number 2. So I'm starting off with some clear carving gel for this one, and of course I'm rolling it into balls. I'm going to do the same for petals like as my base, and then instead of putting 2 on top, I'm going to actually do 3. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and lay out all of my balls first and then place them on the nail in that same shape, and then I'll just use the tool to kind of shape it out. So now my base is cured. I'm going to go in with the 3 other balls that I made. So the first one, which is like a little bit larger than the other 2, I'm just going to put that right in the center, but that's going to go over the petal that's going downwards. And then I'm going to put 2 kind of in between the middle and the sides. So hopefully that makes sense. You'll kind of see it better once I actually paint it. But yeah, I'm just going to go in and do that. And again, I'm shaping the petals the same exact way that I did for the first nail. I decided to go with a purple design for this flower, so I'm going to start off with the darker shade of purple as the outline for each flower petal, and then I'll go in with the lighter shade in the center and just kind of like blend those colors together. I thought it would be cute to put a little pearl in the center of this nail, so I'm just using some nail rhinestone gel and just placing that pearl right in the middle, and then I'll cure that in place. Going on to my third nail, I'm using some of this reflective 3D gel. For no particular reason, I am going to paint over it, but I just wanted to use all of the options that I had. But for this one, I'm starting off with 3 balls as my base, 1 larger and 2 smaller. So for the larger one, I'm putting that in the center and that's going upward, and I'm just gonna press down into that with the pointy end of the silicone tool and just kind of shape it out. I feel like the best way to describe this shape is almost like a little octopus or squid or something. So I just did that as like the top of it, which that would be kind of like the head of it, and then each little flower petal on the side is like a little tentacle. So I'm just kind of pushing downward on that, and I want it to be kind of like pointy at the end of it. Hopefully you can see that. I feel like this video has to be watched on like a mobile device, like on your phone or iPad or something, because I feel like if you're watching this on the TV, you probably can't see it that good. But yeah, hopefully it shows up well enough. I went ahead and cured that in the lamp, and then I'm going in with 2 more balls over it, and those are going to be like on each side of the nail in between the center and the bottom petal, and I want to do it to where they kind of overlap over both of those. Now that I have my flower pretty much fully shaped, I'm just going to go in with this light pink color and paint over all of the flower. I'll go back in with some more of the 3D gel to kind of do the center of the nail, but I just want this down as my base first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and cure it in the lamp. So now that I have that cured, I'm going to go back in and do the very center of the flower. So I'm putting up the inspo photo so you can kind of see what I mean. But I just did a little circle in the middle that's like the very center of the flower. And then there's also like a skinnier piece that's in the middle. So I'm going to try to mimic that. And then I took a little bit more of the gel since this was like kind of too big for it. Whatever I broke off, I just tried to make that as like thin of a line as possible. And I decided to have that be kind of like the stem coming from the flower. So you'll kind of see it better once I paint it. But yeah, this one turned out so cute. It might be my favorite out of all of the ones I did. So this is how the third flower turned out. So cute. Like I said, I love that one so much. I think the first two are like the classic one that I just knew how to do from my last 3D flower video, which I'll actually leave that linked in the cards. I do have a part 1 to this video from when I first tried out making 3D flower nails, so be sure to check that out also if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the fourth flower design. This is another method that I've saw some people doing. I rolled out a fairly big ball and just kind of rolled it into my fingers to kind of make it longer and just stretch it out, and then I'm just using the other end of the cuticle pusher tool to kind of like snip off little pieces, and that kind of helps you get like evenly sized balls as well, so you can have each petal be about the same size. But for this orchid flower, I'm gonna go ahead and put down each petal. I'm doing 5 in total, and I'm kind of forming them into like a little raindrop or like teardrop kind of shape. Hopefully that makes sense. I got kind of out of frame on this one, but hopefully you can still kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm just gonna put those down on the nail kind of like in a palm shape. Hopefully that makes sense. Like none of the petals are going to be like going downwards, they're all kind of going upwards, and I'm just going to use the silicone tool to kind of shape it out and give it more of the shape that I want. But as a base, I'm just using like the little teardrop shape balls, just kind of pinching it in between my fingers so it's more pointy at one end, and that's the end that I'm kind of putting all together in the center. So I actually used the cuticle pusher tool to shape this one, so I just like pressed down in the middle of each petal and just kind of wiggled it like from side to side so that it would kind of flare out each petal. I cured that in the lamp, and then I'm just putting a ball in the center and just kind of pressing into it to give it some texture, and that's going to serve as the center of my flower. And this was the inspo for this color scheme that I went with. I think it turned out super cute. But yeah, I'm just starting off with some neon orange. I'm going to outline each petal with that, and then I'm going to go in with some of the pink as well and kind of fill it in. To finish off this one, after I cured the orange and pink, I decided to go back in and just kind of outline it with some of the white, and I definitely feel that this kind of helped the nail to pop a little bit more. I just find that the nails that have an outline around each petal just look a little bit better, like it's easier to tell what it's actually supposed to be. So yeah, decided to go in and do that, and then I cured that in the lamp, and that was pretty much it for this finger. This was my last flower that I did, and I wanted to do something a little bit more textured, so I went in and just kind of formed the balls like I normally did, but instead of having it more flat to the nail, I used the cuticle pusher tool to kind of like scoop it up on the sides so that it's just a little bit more raised from the nail. And then I also went in and just kind of pressed into the edges of it to give it a little bit more texture. So yeah, this one was interesting. I don't know if I would even truly consider this an orchid, but I decided that it was still an orchid, so that's what it is. I'm just going in and shaping that up. I really can't explain what I'm doing for this one other than what I already said, so I'll just let you all watch, and then I'm just going to go ahead and paint it using the same colors that I did for the very first flower that I did, but here's an inspo photo for that as well. So I finished up with painting all of the nails. I cured them in the lamp one last time, and this is the finished product. Let me know what you all think of my 3D flower nails down in the comments down below, and let me know which flower is your favorite. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.